All right, let's jump right into this deep dive. You send us a whole stack of material about putting together a simple skincare routine. So our mission now is basically to slice through all that and pull out the really core insights. Think of it like getting the main ideas, straight from the source material you shared with us.
Exactly. We're zeroing in on those foundational steps for effective skincare,
Mhm.
why they're presented as important, how to approach it simply, mindfully, and yeah, using only what you gave us as our guide here.
Right. Forget the super complicated routines you see sometimes or all the marketing noise. The sources you provided, they seem to cut straight to what actually matters. So we'll cover the absolute basics, touch on a few optional steps the material brings up, look at some smart budget tips that were included, and kind of connect it all back to overall well-being, just like your sources do.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. The sources kick things off by making a really fundamental point. It's about why we should even bother with skincare, beyond just how we look.
Yeah, they point out that your skin isn't just, well, skin, it's actually your largest organ, right?
Precisely. And what the material really emphasizes is its critical function. It's your main protective barrier. It's shielding you all the time from pollution, bacteria, those UV rays. It's literally your first line of defense.
And the material makes it pretty clear this isn't just about vanity. It's framed as health, hygiene, and there was this phrase from one source that really stuck out, showing up for yourself every day.
hmm That shift in perspective is quite powerful, isn't it? It kind of reframes skincare as like an act of self-respect, basic maintenance, not purely cosmetic.
Hmm.
And crucially, your sources stress again and again, this doesn't need to be complex or break the bank. Simplicity is presented as key.
That's refreshing, actually, especially if you're looking to get informed quickly but thoroughly. The idea that simple is effective is probably a big takeaway from these sources. Thinking about that fundamental why, what part resonates most with you? Is it the health angle, the self-care bit, or maybe just the relief that it doesn't have to be complicated?
Okay, so based on the material you sent, let's dive into the actual steps. Your sources are super clear here. There are three foundational steps. The essential routine.
The non-negotiables, according to what you shared. Okay, step one, cleanser. The goal the sources give seems pretty straightforward and show something gentle, something suited to your specific skin type.
Yeah, and what your sources need to emphasize about gentle is, you want to clean your skin without stripping away all its natural oils. Those oils are vital for that protective barrier we were just talking about.
And they give concrete examples, which is useful. For dry skin, your sources lean towards a cream-based cleanser. For skin that's maybe oily or acne-prone, they point towards a gel or foam, and they specifically mention ingredients like salicylic acid.
Right, and that ingredient difference is a key insight from the material. Salicylic acid, it's a BHA, a beta hydroxy acid. What makes it good for oily skin, as your sources suggest? Well, it's oil soluble, which means it can actually get down into the pores and help clear things out. Cream cleansers, on the other hand, they're designed to be, well, less gripping, leave more moisture behind, which obviously benefits dry skin, aligning with the source's advice. It's about matching the formulation to your skin's needs, really, as your source's guide.
Gotcha. And the material recommends cleansing twice a day, morning and night.
Consistency seems key there. Removing the daily grime, makeup, pollutants that buildup can clog pores.
Okay, step two, moisturizer. Your sources tackle a really common idea head on. They state it clearly. Yes, even oily skin needs hydration.
This is so critical. Dehydrated skin, doesn't matter what type it is, can actually signal your oil glands to produce more oil to compensate, which
Yeah.
ironically can lead to more breakouts. So hydration helps keep that whole system balanced.
And again, the sources give specific types. For dry skin, maybe a thicker cream, and they mention ingredients like ceramides. For oily skin, they recommend something like a gel-based product, maybe one that's non-comedogenic.
So what your sources likely want you to grasp about ceramides is they're kind of like the mortar holding the skin barrier bricks together. Adding them helps strengthen that barrier,
Okay.
stop water loss, and non-comedogenic, that's just the source of way of saying, formulated so it won't clog your pores, pretty essential if you have oily skin.
Okay, so the moisturizer's job, based on your sources, is locking in hydration and supporting that skin barrier.
Exactly. Sealing in the good stuff, keeping your skin's defense strong.
All right, step three. This is where the sources make their strongest statement, it feels like. They basically say, if you remember only one thing,
Wear your SPF.
yes, wear your SPF.
Non-negotiable. The material really doesn't mince words there.
They recommend SPF 30 or maybe higher as the minimum.
That level Your sources explain, gives you strong protection against the rays causing sunburn, the UVB rays, and it also significantly filters the ones that cause aging and deeper damage, the UVA rays.
And the direction is crystal clear every single morning, even if you're staying indoors or it's cloudy outside.
Yeah, that point about indoors and clouds is crucial, and your sources highlight it for a reason. UVA rays can actually penetrate glass and clouds. So consistent daily protection is really the core message.
And the benefits listed are huge. Protection from UV damage, preventing premature aging, lowering the risk of skin cancer.
Yeah, what's interesting is how directly your sources link that UV exposure to long-term damage. They imply this one step probably has the biggest impact on your skin's future health and appearance. Preventing collagen breakdown, protecting against DNA damage. It's serious stuff.
Cleanse, moisturize, SPF. Those are the absolute foundational 3 steps pulled straight from your sources. Looking at those 3, which one feels like maybe the biggest challenge to get consistent with, or perhaps the biggest opportunity for improvement for you personally?
Right, so once those core 3 is basically second nature, then your sources say you can think about adding some optional things in. But these are definitely presented as steps to consider only after you've got the basics down pat.
Not essential, but maybe beneficial, depending on what you're aiming for. Okay, first optional step mentioned, exfoliation. The purpose given is removing dead skin cells. And your sources suggest doing this, what, 1 to 2 times a week?
Yeah, exfoliation helps get rid of that buildup of dead cells that can make skin look kind of dull or rough, reveals fresher skin underneath.
Now, your sources seem to have a clear preference here. They lean towards chemical exfoliants like AHAs for dry skin, BHAs for oily skin over physical scrubs. They say they're gentler.
hmm That distinction is important, and your sources probably highlight it because physical scrubs rely on friction, little bits scrubbing the skin. Chemical exfoliants use mild acids to dissolve the glue between dead cells, like we touched on with salicylic acid, a BHA. These acids work differently. AHA is more on the surface, good for texture on dry skin. BHAs get into pores, good for oily or acne-prone skin. So your sources prefer chemical methods, maybe because physical scrubs can sometimes be just too harsh, cause micro tears.
Okay, makes sense. Next optional step, serums, described as targeted treatments.
Yeah. Serums, according to your sources, are usually more concentrated. They deliver a higher dose of specific active ingredients to tackle particular issues you might want to address.
And they give examples. Vitamin C for brightness, maybe hyaluronic acid for extra hydration, or niacinamide for oil control.
Right. And your sources likely pick those for good reasons. Vitamin C, probably for its antioxidant power, helping with brightness. Hyaluronic acid, it's like a moisture magnet. It just pulls water into the skin. And niacinamide is noted for being versatile. Helps with oil, redness, barrier strength. Lots of potential benefits there.
Gotcha. And finally, eye cream. Your sources have a specific take here. They say it can help with things like puffiness or dark circles, but they explicitly state it's not a must-have.
Yeah, that's quite a pragmatic viewpoint from your sources. I mean, yes, the skin around the eyes is thinner, more delicate, and sure, targeted products exist. But your sources seem to suggest, look, if your regular moisturizer works okay around your eyes and you don't have major specific concerns there, it might just be an extra step, an extra expense you don't strictly need. Focus on the essentials first seems to be the message.
So exfoliation, serums, eye cream, those are the optional layers presented in your sources. Do any of those sound like something you've been curious about trying out now you know a bit more about their potential role based on this material?
Okay, moving beyond just the products themselves for a second. Your sources introduce this concept they call mindful skincare, which kind of shifts the focus, doesn't it?
Yeah, it frames the whole routine not just as a physical task you have to do, but as like a potential moment of actual self-care.
Exactly. Your sources suggest using that time while you're applying products to maybe take a few deep breaths, check in with yourself. It sort of integrates the act of caring for your skin with caring for your mental state, too.
And they strongly reinforce that earlier message. More products don't necessarily mean better results. The consistent advice seems to be listen to your skin.
This is such a crucial nugget from your sources. Listening to your skin. It really means observing how it reacts, noticing if it feels dry or tight or oily or irritated, and then adjusting what you do based on its actual condition, rather than just blindly following a list or chasing the latest trend. It's about being responsive to your own body's signals.
Putting this into practice often brings up the money question, right? Cost. And helpfully, your sources include some practical budget tips. They stress that quality skincare doesn't have to be super expensive.
They even name drop a few brands. They mention names like CeraVe, The Ordinary, La Roche-Posay as examples of brands offering effective products at more accessible prices.
That's incredibly practical advice, straight from your sources. And their guidance ties right back into that simplicity theme. Don't just chase trends, stick to what consistently works for you.
Which, again, links back to listening to your skin, right?
Yeah.
Finding those reliable, affordable staples that meet your specific needs is way more sustainable than constantly hopping onto the newest, shiniest thing.
And one more vital practical tip they included, always patch test new products.
Oh, essential.
Sure.
This small step, just like your sources recommend, can seriously save you from a full-face disaster.
Yeah.
If your skin happens to be sensitive to something new you're trying.
Right. And finally, your sources bring in a more holistic view as well. They remind us that what you put in your body matters too. Lifestyle factors, drinking enough water, eating colorful foods, getting enough sleep are all mentioned as things that help your skin.
Yeah, what your sources are really highlighting there is how interconnected skin health is with your overall health. Hydration, getting the right nutrients, letting your body repair itself during sleep. All of that significantly impacts how your skin functions and looks, complementing whatever you're putting on topically.
So, wrapping up this deep dive into your source material on simple skincare, the foundational, absolutely essential message is really clear. Cleanse, moisturize, SPF.
Build that
Yeah.
strong core routine first. Get that down.
And then your source's final advice seems to be consistent, be patient with your skin, and maybe most importantly, be kind to your skin throughout the process.
Yeah. So, thinking about all this, given that the material you shared presents skincare as both, essential health and hygiene and maybe a moment of self-care, how can you take these foundational steps, cleanse, moisturize, SPF, and weave them into your life in a way that feels sustainable, feels kind, and genuinely serves your well-being? Rather than just becoming another trend you feel you have to follow or just another chore on the list, what does listening to your skin truly mean for you in your everyday life?